0, 1. Let's get started.
Hey, welcome back to the Reinvention Room. This is the place where we talk about becoming the person you were always meant to be, not pretending to be someone else, not chasing everybody's approval, but by rebuilding yourself from the inside out, one honest conversation at a time. And today, we're talking about something people misunderstand constantly, and that's your ego. I want you to notice what happened in your body just now when I said that word, right? Did you feel a little tense? Did some part of you go, oh no, is she about to call me out? Because that's not what this is about. The word ego, for some reason, we've been trained to immediately picture somebody that's arrogant or somebody that's selfish, somebody who wants to be better than everybody else in the room. So we've turned ego into a dirty word, but it's not. It's not. It can be. But here's another side of ego that nobody talks about: a healthy ego. And here's the thing that we're going to sit with today. When you are reinventing yourself, you don't just need a healthy ego. You cannot fully become who you're meant to be without one. It's not optional, it's structural, it's part of the foundation. So let's talk about it. No fluff, real talk. Here's what nobody warns us about when we start changing our lives: our old identity doesn't just disappear because we decide to grow. It doesn't pack up, and leave quietly. It lingers. It shows up at the worst times, and it brings company with it. There will be people who remember exactly who you used to be. And honestly, some of them liked you better that way. Not because they're bad people, necessarily, but because your old self was familiar, predictable, comfortable for them. There will be situations, a comment, a look, an old memory resurfacing that make you question yourself right when you're finally starting to feel steady. And there will be moments, real moments, where you have to make a decision. And it's a bigger decision than it looks like on the surface. The decision is this: do I trust myself right now? Or do I go back to needing everybody else's validation before I believe I'm okay? That right there, that's the fork in the road. And most people don't even realize they're standing at that fork until they've already turned around and walked back toward the old version of themselves. This is exactly where a healthy ego comes in. It's the thing that keeps our feet planted when everything around us is trying to pull us backwards. So let's get specific. What does it actually sound like in your head when you have a healthy ego? It sounds like this: I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. I know what I deserve. And I want to be really clear about something, because this is where people get nervous. This is not you thinking you're better than anyone else. This is not you looking down on people. This is you finally understanding deeply, quietly, without needing to announce it, that you matter too. That's it. That's the whole thing. You matter too. Here's the distinction I want you to hold on to, because it'll change how you see people, including yourself. Okay? A person with an unhealthy ego needs to prove they're better than everyone around them. They need to win. They need to be right. They need you to know how much they know, how much they have, and how far they've come. Because on the inside, they're not actually sure of any of it. A person with a healthy ego doesn't need to prove anything. They simply know. And because they know, watch what becomes possible for them. They can celebrate someone else's success without feeling threatened by it. Somebody else's win doesn't shrink their own. They receive criticism without being destroyed by it. It's information. It's not identity. They can admit when they're wrong without their entire sense of self collapsing. Being wrong about one thing doesn't make them a failure as a person. Right there, that's not softness. That's strength. Real quiet, load bearing strength. I think sometimes that we get caught in this humility trap because I know somebody listening right now is thinking, but Mel, isn't it more humble to just not think about myself that much? And here's where a lot of us get tripped up. We confuse humility with making ourselves small. Humility is not saying I'm nothing. Humility is saying I know who I am and I don't need to put anyone else down to feel good about myself. Humility isn't erasing yourself. It's just not needing anyone else to validate or to make you feel secure. That's it. That's the whole difference. One version shrinks you, the other version just leaves everyone else exactly as they are, standing tall, while you stand tall too. And listen, some of us have spent years lowering our voice in rooms, hiding our gifts because they made someone else uncomfortable, questioning every single decision we make before even we get the chance to see how it plays out, waiting, sometimes for years, for someone else to tell us, you're finally good enough. And at some point, you have to stop handing other people the authority to decide your worth. You have to take that back. Nobody's going to hand it to you. You have to reach out and take it because it's yours. Let's make this personal for a second because I want you to actually think about the person you're becoming, not the person that you used to be, not even the person you are today. The person on the other side of this reinvention you're in the middle of. Would that person constantly apologize for existing? Would that person constantly ask permission just to take up space in a room? Would that person ignore their own dreams because somebody else doesn't understand them or doesn't get it or thinks it's unrealistic? Probably not, right? When you picture the future version of yourself, they're not shrinking. They're not apologizing for the space they take up. The person you're becoming has standards. They have boundaries. They have confidence. Not the loud performative kind, but the quiet kind that doesn't need an audience to be real. They respect themselves first before they ask anyone else to. All of that, all of it starts with developing a healthy ego. There's no version of that future person that exists without this piece in place. So, what this looks like in real life, I want you to know that Maybe you start a new career and someone says, "Are you sure you can do that?" Maybe you start creating something, a business, a podcast, art, whatever it is, and someone says, "Who's going to listen to that? Who's going to buy that?" Maybe you decide to change your life, genuinely change it, and people around you don't recognize you anymore. And instead of celebrating, that you're getting better or you're trying to become a better person, it makes them uncomfortable. And some of them pull away. This is exactly where your healthy ego has to speak up. And here's what it says: I hear you, but I know what I'm building. I appreciate your opinion, but I trust myself. I don't need everyone to understand my journey for it to be real. Let that last one sink in for a second, because I think it's the one most of us need most. Your journey does not require an audience of believers in order to count. It would be nice, of course, we all want that, right? But it was real the moment you started it. Understanding from other people is a bonus, not a requirement. That's the difference. Because here's the truth: every single person who has ever built something meaningful had a moment, probably more than one, where they had to believe in themselves before any other single person did. Before there was any proof, before there was any evidence that it would work out. They just decided to trust themselves anyway. And I know it's easier said than done. It's one of the hardest things to do. And that's not arrogance. You know what that is? That's the healthy ego doing exactly what it's supposed to do. I think this is a deeper message. Here's the part that I really want you to walk away with today, because I think this reframes the entire conversation. A healthy ego is not about thinking you're above people. It is about refusing to think you're beneath them. I'm going to repeat that. A healthy ego is not about thinking you are above people. It's about refusing to think you are beneath them. And I want you to actually sit with that. Because most of us have never once worried about thinking too highly of ourselves. That's not our problem. Our problem has been the opposite. We spent so much energy making sure we never seem arrogant that we swung all the way to the other side. And we started believing we were less than, less deserving, less worthy, less capable. So let's correct that. Let's correct the record right here, right now. You are not above anyone. I am not above anyone. We are not above anyone. But you are also not beneath anyone. You are allowed to believe in yourself. You are allowed to be proud of your progress, even the progress nobody else saw happen. You are allowed to look at yourself in the mirror and say out loud, if you want to, I've come a long way and I am proud of myself. Because you have. I don't know your specific story. You don't know mine. I don't know what season you're walking out of right now, but I do know this. Nobody ends up on this podcast listening to an episode called Have a Healthy Ego by accident. You're here because some part of you is doing the work. Every lesson you sat through, every mistake you've had to make, peace with, every hard lesson you didn't think you'd survive, but you did. Every single time you got back up when you were sure that you couldn't. That's what built the person standing here today. And that's not nothing. That's everything. So today, before you'll go back out into your day, I want you to actually sit with 3 questions. Not just hear them and move on, but actually ask yourself, where have I been making myself smaller than I need to be? Where have I been looking for permission that I don't actually need? And where do I need to trust myself more starting today? Because reinvention was never just about changing what you do, changing your job, changing your habits, your routine. That's surface level. The real reinvention happens underneath all of that. It's about changing how you see yourself. And sometimes the biggest shift in your entire life happens in a single moment. The moment you finally look in the mirror and say, I believe in you. I trust you. I'm proud of you. That is not arrogance. That is a healthy ego. And it might be the most important thing you build this year. So thank you for joining me in the reinvention room today. And remember, the person you're becoming is being created by the choices you make today, not tomorrow, not when things calm down, today. So fall in love with your life, and I'll see you next time in the reinvention room. 0